Hello, I'm your host Lady Evil, and welcome back to some more of Dicentra. Oh, we gotta find that last rib. I am so concerned that it's like in the witch's room or with the boy. I'm so concerned. I have so much concern. Ah, but God, I just feel like something bad's gonna happen when we get rid of Hyptia. And it's so sad that she's been in the wall the entire time. But let's get to it, shall we? One more. I began to follow Dove out, but I soon stopped dead in my tracks. There it is again. The sound of buzzing. But this time, its presence is much more looming. I snap my head back and flies crawl over the books, far more than there was in the dining room. My heart starts to beat hard in my chest. Right away with that! Dear gods! I feel like I'm tracing the footsteps of someone I've never met before. We walk in and out of rooms, searching for the last rib. Dove bites on her thumbnail as she searches through dressers and drawers, all of which have a lingering presence attached to them. It relieves and unnerves me that we have not seen the boy or the witch today, despite all the commotion we've been causing, but I try to count it as a small blessing instead of an omen. I pad slowly through the hall as Dove stomps through it. We pass the doors of rooms that have already been ravaged, all except for one, but Dove passes by it completely. Curiously, I pause in front of it. Is she not going to search this one? Dove turns back when she no longer hears the click of my nails behind her. Her eyes catch onto the door I've stopped in front of. That's nothing but a bathroom. I mean, we could still... Yeah, hey! He could be hiding the rib in a soap bar. You don't know. Bathroom? I gave Dove a small woof. It's nothing special. Dove's brows furrow, as she went through quite a fuss to have it made, just for the drainer pretty tub to stop working. Oh. Dove sweeps past me and bursts through the door. Oh. I mean, it is a pretty bathroom. The sound of dripping water echoes in the small room. Dove's feet make a wet slapping sound on the red tiles. When she steps further into the bathroom, the red sticks to her feet, revealing the pristine white tiles beneath. Dear gods, what happened in here? Also, I like the little skull motif on the thing. Enhance! Look at that. That's cool. I love it. Okay. I hesitate to follow Dove in because I finally spot the source of the ruby liquid that stains the floor. A tang of metal fills the air and blood drips over the edge of a porcelain tub that sits under a tall window. I take a deep breath in and finally step past the doorway. The ground is slick and the air is moist. I concentrate on every step I take so I don't fall flat on my face. Dove stands before the tub. When I finally reach her side, I carefully lift my front paws up on the edge of the tub and peer into it. How long has it been like this? Also, I'm sorry if you guys hear Miso in the background. He's in a mood. I can see my face clearly in the still surface of the crimson pool that fills the tub to the brim. It just became like this one day. And Dove's face is strained. It looks like she would rather choke on her words than say them out loud. I didn't want to know what would happen if I tried to put my hand in it. That's fair. Dove inhales deeply in preparation, then pulls up the sleeve of her dress to her shoulders. Oh no, here we go again. I throw a nervous glance at the cuts across her skin that are still freshly scabbed over. Pray nothing in here likes the taste of flesh. Dove lets out a small gasp and she dips only her fingers into the blood. She rips her hand away instinctively and breathes shallowly. It's warm. A shiver crawls up my spine. The stickiness under my paws begins to make me uncomfortable. Dove presses her eyes shut for a second, then dips her arm back in. I can see goosebumps rise on Dove's arm before it sinks into the red. She goes slow until she reaches the bottom of the tub. Her arm shifts as she searches for the drain. The sleeves of her dress slips off her shoulder and falls into the blood. Red bleeds into the white fabric. I hear Dove's breath hitch when she finds something. My whole body is wound up tight. The tension in the air is thick enough to cut with a knife. The sound of the dripping faucet haunts me. Immediately, something at the end of the tub makes my eyes snap to it. I let out a loud cry. Dove jumps and looks at me before she whips her neck round to the small sound of bubbling. We both watch in horror as something beneath the surface of the blood begins to breathe into life. The bubbles begin to crawl towards Dove, pulling a shriek from my throat. Dove grits her teeth and plunges her arm deeper into the pool of scarlet. Sweat runs down her pale skin as she concentrates intensely on unlodging whatever was blocking the drain. I whimper as I watch the bubbling move closer and closer. Dove releases a shaky breath, but she still doesn't pull her arm out. The bubbles are just a breath away from brushing against her arm. She lets a sharp hiss and grits her teeth. Get out! I latch my teeth onto the back of Dove's dress and rip her away from the tub. I throw us onto the slippery tiles. Blood splashes all over us. It takes me a moment to catch my breath. When my senses slowly return to me, I hear the sound of gurgling. I look to my side. Dove lies next to me, curled in a ball. Her eyes are squeezed shut, her chest rising and falling heavily. Cradled in her red-covered hands is a rib bone. The buzzing noise that arises this time does not surprise me, but the merciless insistence of it does cause me to pin my ears to my head with whimper. That's weird. Wait. Okay, you know what? We'll talk about it at the end of the session. When we once again stand before Hyptia's body, we're covered in much more blood than when we started. Yeah? Her body has also started acting more like a corpse. Flies crawl over the woman's blotchy skin, and the sour smell of rot now invades my nose, making it wrinkle in discomfort. Bringing the missing ribs feels like it's broken some kind of spell in the body, like it's been sitting in time's blind spot. And now we're placing it back under its harsh light once again. Perhaps this is why Dove now hesitates. She clutches the rib bones with a white-knuckled grip. I'm slightly worried they'll snap into pieces any moment now. Her face is glazed over with a blank mask. The weariness in her eyes betrays her. Earlier, she had been in such a rush to send this person away. But now, she seems to be stalled by her own thoughts. When she finally breaks out of her head, she stomps over to the drawer and rummages through it. She produces a needle, a roll of thread, and one more thing off a shelf. A bottle that glows a faint orange. She makes her way over to the body. She makes quick work of placing the ribs back where they belong before plucking out the old broken stitches that held Hyptia's torso together. Her hands had been so rough in tearing the stitching open, but now her trembling fingers work delicately. After disposing of them, she begins to mend the flesh together. Her stitching is clumsy, a trait she shares with her mother, I suppose. When she's finished, she takes a step back. The ghost is so different from the others. It feels like whatever happens next will be the point of no return. So I'm not the only one who feels like that. Good. The game is giving me a warning. Yeah. The final stop of this train is approaching, and the only way off this ride is to jump before it crashes. Dove holds up the glowing bottle she had grabbed earlier. Liquid fire. It can melt through anything. We don't have to risk burning the house down again. My chest tightens. This is it. Oh god, this is it. Dove places a hand on the corpse's arm, then tears her from the alcove. The corpse crumbles to a heap on the floor. I won't be making the mistake of thinking this body could simply wake up and continue living anymore. It decays rapidly before my very eyes, like it's overly eager to correct itself to its rightful stage of necrosis. Hyptia's pale skin darkens and patches to a death green. Veiny lines start to marble across her cheeks, and an oily sheen begins to develop with a foul smell that is me breathing shallowly. I flinch from the sound of Dove popping the cork out of the bottle. Panic surges through me. I don't feel ready at all, but I keep finding out that there are not many changes that wait for you to be before they become your new reality. The corpse's flesh begins to dissolve from the pouring liquid. It sizzles and hisses as it easily eats through flesh, all the way through to the bone. She covers the body thoroughly with the honey-like substance until the last drop falls from the bottle's mouth. I lift my gaze from the corpse, and lands on the hallway ghost standing in the room with us. I've never seen it enter a room before. But now it turns its neck, looking around the room as if in search for something. Dove drops the bottle in her hand when she sees her and cracks in the floor. She rips her gaze away and looks down at this disintegrating corpse. You'll finally be gone now. I can see Dove's eyes turn glossy. You'll be gone. Her head snaps back to the ghost. The ghost looks down at its fading hands. Its lifeless gaze finds Dove and turns to her with its arms spread, ready to pull her into a loving embrace. Oh no. Whatever emotions Dove has been bottling up instantly shatters like glass. My mind feels foggy as I watch Dove break into a sob. I move before she does. Dove chokes in a gasp when I stop her from running to the ghost. What are you doing? Let go! I tighten the grip of my jaws around her skirt even more. I whimper my own cry towards her. I understand. I've done something like this before. Oh. When the world was so big and I was so small, everything terrified me. When I was overwhelmed with emotions and didn't understand a thing, I would always run into the arms of my mother too. Oh no. Let go. Pull her back. I know what will happen the second the ghost's phantom arms wrap around her living body. I don't think my heart will be able to take it if I have to hear Dove scream in pain again. Soul or body, she can never reach for either again without getting burned. I wish Dove wasn't constantly reminded of what it feels like to be pain. It's like everyone that loves Dove cannot show it if it's not in some form of a stinging lash. This is how it has to be. Dove drops to her knees and cries. I don't care if she hates me for stopping her. Perhaps she truly prefers to say goodbye as her flesh sears, but I won't let her. What was it like when she first lost her? This is her first or second farewell. Dove must have so much to say, but time races against her. I think if Hyptia's life were an hourglass, it would be down a single grain of sand. One tiny moment is all that has been spared for Dove to say a lifetime's worth of words. The ghost fades more and more. I wait for the sound that'll signal the end. The sound of that final grain falling. Dove sniffles and presses her forehead into the cool floorboards. In another life, can you still be my mother? My breath hitches. Next time. She wipes the thick tears that drip down to her chin. It would be nice if we could be human. Then maybe I could be enough for you. And you could be enough as well. Dove lifts her head. Something that looks like a smile cracks through the ghost's features. The ghost's face softens in a way that looks proud of Dove, and confusingly, Dove reacts like she's been slapped across the face. Don't look at me like that. Like this is what you wanted. She clenches her fists. I never asked for this. Dove's scream makes my chest tighten painfully, but for some reason, I find my brows pinching together in puzzlement. She never asked for this. What does she mean by that? Then it comes. The last grain finally falls, and falls so heavily. It rings so loudly in my skull that my ears go flat. I don't need to look. I just slide up to Dove's side. I can tell by the way she wraps her arms around me so tightly and how loudly she sobs into my fur but the ghost of her mother is gone. For good this time. Oh. Oh. Oh no. Wait. Hold on. Wait. The door to Dove's bedroom flies open and slams against the wall. I feel Dove go still as a statue under my head. I lift my head up from her lap. The hand that had been petting the fur along my spine now holds it in a numbing grip. I feel his magic before I see him. The grotesque dolls above us rattle and the drapes around Dove's bed tremble. Soon after, his footsteps enter into the room. My breathing pauses. Dove's father must have finally seen what we did. A burst of magic knocks me over. I hear Dove gasp and feel her arms cage around me. Air slams into us like a train and sends the canopy curtains into a wild billow. The cold air makes my eyes sting and I squeeze them shut. Static makes my first stand. Feels like the wind is blended with shocking strings of electricity. When the gale finally dies down, I can feel Dove's heart slam against her ribs as she shields my body with her own. Her breath comes out in a distressed gasp. I dare to open my eyes again, and darkness surrounds us. My own heart hammers away as I gaze out into the space beyond the posts of the bed frame. The curtains have been magically dissolved, leaving us completely exposed to the void. Every shallow breath I make sounds enhanced by the nothingness. Everywhere I look is swallowed by darkness, save for a single light that drapes over Dove's bed. I look up, trying to find its source. It seems to come from nowhere. I take a peek over the edge of the bed. I can see my own appearance reflected in the obsidian surface that covers the ground. Ripples break the calmness of the glassy liquid caused by something that walks towards us. Arms yank me back from the edge of the bed. Dove scarcely breathes. She holds me close and twists her body in an attempt to hide me from the one who approaches. It's the witch. I brace myself to face his wrath. His footsteps create a wet slap as he draws closer. The sound of the footsteps is much lighter than I expected them to be. My whole body seizes with terror. What have you done? Dove flinches from the wave of energy that radiates off him. A feeling of nausea paints my innards as the boy steps out of the shadows instead of the witch. Dove's breath catches and her arms shake around me. They hold on to me like a lifeline. The light from above creates harsh shadows over the boy's enraged features. You insolent child! Do you understand what you've done? The boy bares his teeth in a sneer. He circles around the bed with his hands behind his back like a viper taking its time to stalk its prey before it strikes. My ears flatten from the threat in his venomous stare. I turn my head, trying to keep him in my line of sight. His body flickers through the shadows like a specter. One moment he appears normal, the next moment the pristine white skull of a wolf decorates the upper part of his face. He really is a witch as well. The boy raises his hands to his head and curls into himself. I was so close. We could have had everything again. Dove leans forward and tightens her arm around me. We don't need her. The boy snaps in her direction. Wrong. I need her. The boy begins to pace back and forth, water sloshing at his feet. My brows furrow. I crane my neck to look into the ground again. The black liquid now gurgles and splashes against the frame of the bed as it slowly climbs higher and higher. This is no good at all. So what? We'll be fine. I can hear Dove start to sniffle above me. The child whips around and grabs two posts at the foot of the bed. I hear them crack under his grip. I will not be fine. Dove's breathing turns ragged. To think you would betray her so. Dove hiccups and hides her face into my neck. You know the expectations she had for you. I suppose she would be proud of what you've done. I hear Dove gasp. She would really, really love what you've become. So wicked, all on your own. The boy's face twists into a wry smile. I hear the wooden posts under the boy's hand start to splinter. Soon after, something begins to slither up from the dark waters. Tendrils of oily black vines coil up the frame of the bed and slowly crawl towards us. Thorns resembling long and sharp needles spike out from them. The boy's face suddenly falls into despair and his gaze drops. If she hadn't become so greedy, I wouldn't have had to do what I did. I watch his expression turn sour before his head snaps up to glare at Dove with glassy eyes. She's all I have. The posts break in half. Dove throws herself over me as the broken wood is swallowed by the rising ebony lake around us, creating a deafening splash. Dove's cold body trembles and I feel anger swell in me like dark waves. Does Dove truly mean nothing to him? I start to growl. The boy glares viciously at Dove. Now you've made things considerably more difficult. Do you know how much more we'll have to pay to bring Hyptia back? This is not fine at all, Dove. I hear Dove break into a sob, then I snap. I tear out of her arms and lash out at the boy with a snarl. The boy stumbles back slightly in surprise, but manages to respond with a dark scowl. Phew. Dove's breath hitches behind me when the boy starts to lift his arms. I think I've tolerated you disrupting my home for long enough. I stand my ground and my throat rumbles. I bend my knees to prepare my attack as bloody patterns begin to manifest in the back of his hands. Then, in a single blink, we're back in Dove's room, with the curtains of her canopy back in place. The boy spins around. I hear glass crunch under his feet. His enraged expression melts into confusion as he faces the window. And then a sound thunders throughout the entire mansion. I freeze as the chime of the grandfather clock pierces the air. The heavy metal clang makes the air around us tremble and painfully reverberates inside my skull. My body submits to the overwhelming sound, and my tail goes between my legs. The boy's hands fly up to cover his ears. The hell? The boy groans out in agony. Black veins begin to spread from the dark markings around the boy's eyes, and I can see blood dripping from his nose. He staggers back and brings a hand to swipe at the blood. His eyes widen in shock when he sees it coating his fingers. I can't see the window beyond the curtains of the canopy, but just for a fraction of a second, I swear, I see the red light that spills into the room flicker with a mysterious shadow. Shit! The boy cups the bottom of his nose and makes a long stride towards the door in a hasty exit. He pauses at the threshold of the broken door, then places his hand on the frame. Red blooms on the back of his hand as a magic circle forms and overrides the incomplete spell etched onto his skin. You will stay in here, and out of my way. Dove lets out a panicked gasp. No! Dove bounds off the bed and throws herself at the door, just as it vanishes with the boy on the other side. Oh! Oh, shit. Dove slams against the blank wall that now stands where the door used to be. I hop off the bed and try to avoid the paint-covered glass all over the floor. A breeze brushes against my fur. It's coming from the window. I take a peek outside. There's no longer anything separating us from the outside elements. The glass pans of the window have been completely shattered, and now Dove's paintings lie in scattered pieces across the floor. Somewhere else in the house, the grandfather clock continues its booming toll. Time flows so much faster when you can hear its presence. When it was quiet, I felt like I had permission to think. I felt like I had permission to think it had been frozen. Put on hold so that when it once again resumes, everything that had happened in its absence wouldn't count as real. The disturbing clanging finally stops, but the sound of ticking continues mercilessly. I look over and Dove runs her hand over the smooth wall where her door used to be. Her hands drop. Without making a sound, she stands and turns to face the mess of glass on the floor. Streaks of dried black tears and red blotches paint her cheeks. Her eyes scan the glass and the window warily. It's like she's just become completely numb to everything. I whimper. Dove leans down, picks up a shard of glass, and clenches her fist around it. Glass slices into her palm, sending Dove into a state of shock. I tilt my head in concern. Does she think it wouldn't cut her? Her head twists on her neck, and she searches around the room for something, but all she finds is silence. My brows press together as I observe her strange actions, and something clicks in my mind. I remember seeing her do something like this before. After Babel had left, Dove looked for her, just like she does now. Dove's eyes drop to the ground as she releases the shard, her arms falling to her sides. Oh. Oh is right. Holy shit. I thought Hyptia was... Okay, this is where we're ending, by the way. We're stopping here. And we're gonna continue this next week. But... I thought Hyptia was a servant. I thought that she either was A, a servant, or B, somebody that was close to the family, like Babel was, and was brought here upon her death, and then just sealed away, and was possibly a really weird love interest for the witch. But no, that's his wife. That was his wife. That is her mother. What the fuck? Okay, so him and the boy being abusive narcissists is very much correct, because what the fuck? Nothing else makes sense. God. That is fucked, man. Oh, gods, no. Oh no, we need to burn this bitch down. We need to burn this entire place to the ground. Dove, my sweet, sweet child, we need to crash out. This is too much. Oh god. Okay, well, that's gonna be it for today. I will see you guys Monday with some more of this, hopefully. And, yeah, if you enjoyed the show, like and subscribe. And I'll catch you guys next week. Bye! Oh no.